Finally, let's talk anime. Let's talk boobs. No, but let's talk Rudy crying. So, it's finally time everyone on here, right? Doing the reaction, the roast, whatever, right? Of course, the anime results. Links below, right? For the previous one, we looked at the nomination. Of course, the nomination is every year or total horseshit, right? Obviously, it's not Gislane's best girl and best woman and everything that. No, but it's like we've been over this at great length, right? But it's very, very clear because the same time every year, right? That they're like we can't like they just refuse to ever take something that Mushoku Tensei for right? It's the most obvious level this year. Because, you know, the main character has intercourse. No, we can't have that, right? Yeah, so they always do that shit, right? They're always way too vocal PC, right? And at the same time, you see shit animes like Wonder Egg Purity being in every category. A horrible ending. The last 3 episodes, whatever it is, after real shit, right? It's just crap. And the ending was just loaded by everyone, right? Yet they have it in every category. That's just stupid. It's really dumb. But the reason they have that is of course because it's like my Yuri, it's like lesbian girls and like suicides. That's like, you know, hot topic, right? For them, right? For again the different people, right? It's all about that. And of course, lastly, when it comes to the judges, right? That have way too much power, 70% power. That's crazy. But when it comes to that, right? It's the same thing they do, right? Someone like me is never gonna be allowed to be a judge, right? Because, you know, I'm just, you know, honest, right? With what actually is a good or a bad anime. So I want to play ball, right? So, you know, I can never be a judge. Or the judge is someone that's very, very famous, right? Or very famous, you know what I mean? At least high fame, and they watch the animes, right? You know what I mean? They watch like 1 anime per year, and they're like, just say what we want, you know? So it is, it's an appallingly bad, I watched it, right? Not proves, but it definitely points to that they're insanely dumb by the Crunchyroll for not even having it in, you know, the other categories, right? They gave it this like kind of, yeah, measly, best fantasy. They put it somewhere, you know, put it somewhere there. What? What's wrong with this? Is the judge shit? This is the goddamn judge shit. What is effing wrong? Fuck no. This is some goddamn corruption of the state. This shows you that the world is doomed, man. This shows you that there's something wrong with the planet, right? This is some goddamn corruption here. This is clearly some goddamn bullshit. I said this though, as I predicted correctly, right? I predicted that we were gonna have a crying Rudy. I predicted that because I said so. That the judges has way too much power, right? That 70% shit, right? I said it. They're never gonna let it win. You know, it's clearly. It's gonna be a crying Rudy, right? I said it, right? Yeah. Because they're never gonna let it win, right? Yeah, it's true. It's only the US, but it's not really the US though. It's more like the Western world, I guess. It kind of presents more than just the US though. With Crunchyroll. But this is what I said, right? And they're never gonna let it win. They're never gonna let it win, right? They're never. And obviously, Awesome Ranking is better than Slime. I'm sorry, guys. I like Slime too, but Awesome Ranking is better. At least. Why is To Your Eternity in both? That's making no sense. But anyway, it's exactly as I said, right? Mushoku Tensei loses because the judges, right, are told by Crunchyroll that you can't vote for this thing, right? Because the judges have power for whatever reason. It should be up to popularity, right? Or whatever would be better. Because the judges are, you know, incredibly, you know, vocal, whatever. So they're gonna be like, you have to not pick this guy. This guy is like a hentai or something. You can't pick that, right? So they are. This is exactly what I said. It's really sad. It is exactly what I said, though. This is what I kept saying last stream and talking about stuff. I was like, it's never gonna win. People were like, oh, it's gonna crush it, but no, it's not gonna win, right? Because remember, it's 70% judge power, right? So Mushoku Tensei is not gonna win because all the judges are refusing to vote for it, right? Because the judges are. It's very, very simple, right? The judges are. How to say it? They are, you know, the only reason you can be a judge is because you play ball, right? You only can be a judge because it's telling you that don't vote for this anime because there's a perv or whatever, there's sex in it. Okay, you don't can vote for that. So no, but Mushoku Tensei is incredibly popular. It won like everything else. That thing you wrote there actually doesn't really comply, because if you look at the other awards, right, look at the top 10 and so on in other systems, in Twitter and Analyst and other kind of list people down, right, popularity votes, Mushoku Tensei has won them like all, right. Mushoku Tensei has won like almost every other popularity vote there is, right. So the reason Mushoku Tensei is the judge, right, it's not popularity. Popularity is winning like almost every other place, right? And I think people are really want extra much, right? Even here, to piss them off, right? You know what I mean? And this is why it's so silly, because you wonder like, why does it take you 2 weeks to go over the results, right? So first you have 1 week where you send in your result, right? Whatever, it's just a number in a database, right? And afterwards, like 2 weeks of like talking about that doesn't make any sense. It's just a plus or minus number, right? People vote for this thing, +1, right? You know. If they remove the vote, -1, yeah. So then they have 2 weeks where they basically just collude, right? 2 weeks where they just like, we cannot let this anime win because it's hentai, right? So we gotta fix that, right? Everyone has to vote for that anime instead. And then they just collude, right? So all the judges just agree on voting something else, right? Because as long as the judges vote for it, as long as I said in the title, no, your vote doesn't matter, right? As long as the judges just agree, right, with each other, you're never gonna win, right? Yeah. As long as the judges just agree with each other. Do they agree? Probably not, actually. But of course, they know that the only reason they can have this job, right, is because they agree. You know what I mean? The only reason they can have this occupation, so to speak, be invited, is because they do agree with whoever hive mind has them to do, right? So the only reason they can get to do this thing is because they promise to agree to whatever they have to agree with, right? So as long as all of them agree at the same time, they're gonna get whatever they want, right? So they're gonna be like, oh, everyone voted for this, you know, hentai main character, right? This poor Rudy boy. Okay, everyone has to vote for Slime, okay? Because then, you know, then he loses, right? Also, I think also ranking is better than Slime, though. But, I mean, I like Slime, you know, I like Rimmaru-chan, but it's not even close to Mushoku Tensei. It is popular, though, but Mushoku Tensei has won, like, almost every other popularity contest out there. He lost the second place in one of them because Miracle beat it, and that was because females hated it. It's true that he has had a problem with the female audience, but you have to remember that it's also more males watching on Crunchyroll and so on, so the gender wouldn't matter as much either. But yeah, it is it's absurd and silly, and it just shows you that's you know, the corruption of it, right? I mean, you're obviously right that, I mean, Crunchyroll is in the US, right? But they do, see, the thing represents kind of the West, though, right? Because they do release this stuff in all the countries, but certainly they represent it in their own, how I say it, in their own Americanized way, though. Certainly do, right? And the culture of America is more prude. For example, France is way less prude, right? And they do, of course, have a little more issues with it is true that I think Mushoku is slower in the beginning, but it has a really good scene story, Rudy beating his, you know, agoraphobia and so on. But there's one thing I think is true to say, though, is that Slime has a lot of benefit of being like Slime season 2 part 2. It's basically season 4, right? Yeah, it's like 50 episodes. It basically gets a little, yes, that opportunity. It's basically like season 4, right? Because it's like season 2 part 2, yeah, it's definitely in kind of the climax of that thing. But I still don't believe it, right? The problem here that I would love to see, but they would never do it, right, is they actually show the result, right? And I mean the actual numbers, you know. I would love to see them actually showing here what is the actual, like, figures, right? Okay, 1 million people voted for this thing, 1 million voted for that thing, right? If they actually would show us the actual, you know, numbers, the actual figures, right? The actual breakdown. Because they're never gonna do that, right? And that's something weird here too, because you're always wondering, like, okay, but do they actually like hide it away? So what if Tenchi got like 10 times more votes than everything else, right? And they're like, we can't show that because we hated the anime, right? So let's pretend that happened, you know? It's just always like, you really wonder what actually, how many votes they actually got, right?